Well, it's a Monday. I mean, and
well, yeah. Any day's a hump day with Hal Sparks.
That's quite true. I put the hump in your days,
yes,
as it were. I would argue, and this is, Wednesday has always been hump day because it's the day you're over the hump in the week. It's the camelback visual of what your work week is like. But in reality, I feel like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday should be the hump days. And Friday should just be lead into the weekend because you're really humping all week, aren't you? I mean,
if things are going right, sure, yes,
sure. Well, I mean, in terms of work, I mean, in the gonna be your beast burden, that kind of hump,
right?
That kind of carry it, boy. I'm gonna carry that weight, right? You know what I'm saying?
So, I do.
Yeah.
I'm feeling you there.
Right. Welcome to the hump. And it's nice to see you guys.
It's great to see you. I know.
I'm so much closer to actually seeing you in person. I can almost reach out and meet and grope you right through the screen.
And we're getting close to being able to see each other in real person because Chris gets his first shot this week. I got Thursday. My first shot last week.
Yep.
Yay. Yeah. And I've had both of my shots.
Yay.
All right.
Yeah. So I took I don't know who knows this in the mix of crowd, but I actually took my son to see his grandparents for the first time in a year, over a year with my dad and my stepmom, and like 9 months with my mom. So it was a huge, reuniting of the generations, with me kind of being the, in the game of Pong, I was just kind of the white line kind
down
of
the middle. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a great, moment. And as we've all faced our mortality during the pandemic and kind of referenced it in everything that we do, and every single day you're confronted by it in a way that you don't normally. You weren't in a pre-2016 world.
Right.
Yeah. My grandparents tend to get a little, what kind of dishes do you want when I go? That kind of, they get in that zone
yes.
where they're like pointing at paintings on the wall and going, do you want that when I die? That kind of stuff. So between the mix of that and my kid wanting to play video games instead of visiting with his grandparents, which, kids do,
sure.
and me trying to crowbar those two together, it was like old times.
Aww. Things are returning to normal.
Yeah, it was back to abnormal, and many a tear was shed just for the odd normalcy of the whole thing.
Yeah, Dylan, my husband, he got to go up. His parents, who are in their 80s, are fully vaccinated now. And a couple weeks ago, he went up to see them, and it was the first time that his parents, his sister, her family with their 2 little ones were all in the same space together, and they actually felt like they could take off their masks and actually hang out and eat dinner together for the first time in a year.
It's beautiful. And you know what I mean? If anything, all these people talk about how, like, it was a plandemic and a deep state conspiracy, and the UN shock troops are going to show up and dart us all in the neck, and it's all a plot to get nanobots in our blood, which of course is all true.
Totally.
But only really just to prepare us for life in space because of the asteroid that's coming. But did I say that out loud?
Send your cards and letters to Hal Sparks.
That's right. No, but right. But it turns out it was just a big deep state plot to make you appreciate your relatives more, and movie theaters and going to live shows, because that's really the turnaround on this. That I was always shocked, and I don't know about you guys. Were you just blown away by the number of people who were like, masks are mind control and they're just a way of stopping your individuality, as if anybody has plans to wear the mask past this pandemic? Like it was, America is now a masked country, like, we're all wearing veils now, was the way they presented it.
Like we want to wear masks.
Yeah, and I never understood. I'm like, you do realize there's a shelf life on this, And that shelf life comes sooner the more you participate.
Right.
The more you actively wear your mask, the less time we spend wearing masks.
Yeah.
But then that's the illness and death rate we have right now, right? We're humping along right in the middle, and that's because the blue states and the big population areas are going down, and the red states en masse, which if you squeeze them all together, end up to be the population of, Detroit, Houston, and California all put together, are on the rise or can't taper their death rates and their hospitalization rates. So it creates this standard. And we're all on the hook because it's nationwide. We're all on the hook for
and
that.
It's going to be even more nationwide because everybody who was in spring break in Miami over the weekend is going to fly home with all of these variants that were floating around that soup down there.
Well, that was one of the big things last year. I don't know if you remember this, and I'm sure that we're going to be seeing these over the course of the next couple of weeks. But I remember at the beginning of all of this last year, and it's so weird now to think back, that was a year ago. This weekend that happened, or that was a year ago that this happened.
Yeah,
but last year, I remember there was there was an amazing graphic last year where they did the cell phone data and tracking the pings of cell phones that were in Miami, and they did a visual representation where it showed where those cell phones ended up at following spring break, and you could just see it like flooding out of like Florida into Georgia and Alabama, and all through the Gulf Coast and then up into the Midwest. And you could see as they got done driving home, which meant not only did they travel from Florida, but then they drove through all of these places and made stops along the way.
They stopped for gas along the way, because we're not going to fly because we don't want to catch anything on the flight. Like you're the Johnny Appleseed of the new COVID strains at this point. And by the way, while Ron DeSantis the whole time is patting himself on the back for being the state that's the most open, and these, and the evidence that right wingers are using in Congress and in the Senate to talk about how it's really the closed down states that had the problems. The open states did just fine, like Florida. Meanwhile, Florida's running a constant curfew, is running these rotating curfews in all these cities, is telling, having the Super Bowl and telling everyone not to come at the same time. The mayors are making up for it. Basically, DeSantis is the Trump of Florida, and he's like, the mayors will handle it. In the same way that Trump said it's the governor's responsibility.
Yeah, same with Texas. Texas, the cities are trying to tamp down on everything, while meanwhile Abbott is saying, we're open, come visit us.
Well, and did you guys notice the timing of when we need to get open last I'd say May, when it was like, as soon as we found out in the news that black and brown people die at a higher rate, man, these people were screaming, why aren't we open? Feature not a bug, feature not a bug. They were they were like, wait a minute, hold on a second. I might have all these comorbidities, but I might be safe, but I can get rid of those folks down the street. Let's do it. It reeked of it the entire time. So, we are definitely cresting out of this, and it's a beautiful thing to see. It is, it's very encouraging. Everybody still needs to, play as safe as is, possible, as if it's the beginning of it again. Many ways go back to really being a draconian about your cleaning, washing your hands and your hand sanitizer and your masks and stuff, because that's what'll open the summer. I think that's the sales pitch that has to happen.
And I feel like we are going to start to feel that way. You already see a difference when you walk around, and just the activity, and just talking to people are feeling confident that we're getting through this.
That there's a strategy, that we're not in the area where, this time last year, Trump is saying on the one hand, there's 15 cases, it's going to go down to nothing. It's the Chinese people, the Chinese government is being completely transparent. We're fine. It's all going to be, as soon as the ink is dry on our, we'll change our tack once the ink
Easter's going to be beautiful with all those full churches.
Beautiful, and in Easter we'll have Easter, and it'll be great. All that stuff of last year, and in the meanwhile, them knowing full well how horrible it was going to be, knowing that it was coming in this way, and then just using it to stock trade. We're kind of in a different space now. Remember the whole Walmart parking lots filled with military vehicles passing out the shots? That was the Trump plan. That was all they talked about last time. We got the military. We got this guy. It's all logistics are handled because Biden told them to last spring.
Yes.
He's like, if you look under your desk, there's a little lever, pull it. It was like that kind of, it was like talking somebody through an escape room. That's what Biden was doing with Trump last year. I can't do the math, right? And so
maybe this summer we can go to escape rooms again.
I know, right? The irony is that it's probably going to ruin the escape room business because we've basically all been in a giant escape room.
That's what we've been living this last year.
Where's your mask? Where's your mask? I can't find it. Look under the old man's head. And maybe it's in the book. There's a code that will open a panel on the door that has masks so we can go out through the mall, right?
Get the mirror so you can shine the laser onto the clock.
Yeah,
that's 12.
Right. Actually, now you're making me miss him. Now we have to do a Stephanie Miller crew and gang escape room and live stream it, with 3D, 360 cameras.
How about we have
that on one condition, no Stephanie.
How about we have an escape room in the lobby of the very first Sexy Liberal show Back on the Road?
I love that idea.
There we go.
I think or we do it to the audience. We just carry all the doors locked.
Yeah.
You have to get all these jokes or you can't get out,
Right.
And it'd be fine. The regulars will be fine, but the guests they brought, their right-wing friend, they're trying to ease in.
Yeah.
Going, I don't understand these facts.
Yeah. To go back to the Kerry analogy, they're the ones who get sprayed by the fire hose.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, I'll be on stage covered in pig blood. How does this work out? How'd I end up like this again?
I'm just wondering if any of you had ever contemplated the idea of doing an escape room with Stephanie, because that sounds like it could be an adventure.
A nightmare.
No, thank you. I'll turn that down.
Yeah. Now I have to do it. It's like a level of difficulty. You just add, an extra, stage of difficulty to it. And because, honest to God, she'd probably go, "This is nice." I've got to, she'd have a staycation in an escape room.
Uh-huh.
The only way she'd get out of it if it's something involved getting on a stationary bicycle and riding really fast.
Right. Yeah, you set up a Peloton. That's what opens the door. You have to hit level 5, and you're like, ping! How'd she get the door open so fast? Are you kidding me? She lives on the damn thing. We took the seat off, and it was immediate. I'm kidding. All right, so
a 15-second escape from an escape room, shortest time ever.
Yeah, that was kind of boring. All right, stay outside this next one. You're a ringer, and we had no idea.
I've only done one escape room once, and it was a situation where Jill and I, it was our first time doing it with a bunch of people who were escape room pros. We walked in there, and it was just watching them, all of a sudden they scattered, and everything was splashed. I was we're what is going on?
Yeah.
We couldn't keep up with anything. It was all we could do to watch them.
Yeah, don't go with people who invite you because they go all the time.
Yeah,
go with
they're pros.
Noobs because it'll be a nightmare. And secondly, I feel like escape rooms, which were really on the rise, right, all the way up to the pandemic in many ways, might have been an example of The Secret gone awry. The universe went, oh, you want to be trapped in a room, do you? So the whole country, I don't know, I'd like to try out an escape room. And the universe heard all those prayers at once. And guess what?
Be careful for what you wish for. You might get it.
Yeah. Exactly. Someone figure out the code. Right. I don't remember it. The Abraham Lincoln. It was written on the brown piece of paper stuck to the boat. Find the boat. Right.
Is that February 12th? Birthday?
Yeah.
Is it the birthday of Abraham Lincoln?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes,
but maybe it would be in an escape room. They'd ask for the hour of his birth,
right.
And everybody it would be a trick question because there was no clock on the wall.
Yeah, that's what escape rooms do.
That's right.
Yes.
They create. Yeah, they are my nightmare. Thanks for the nightmare dreams I'm going to have tonight about being in an escape room. I can't get out of. And then I'll be knocking on the door going, but I have a mask. I've been vaccinated. I have a mask.
I've been in a room for a year.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Maybe that's how you convince people to get their vaccine shot. You have to get the vaccine shot to get out of the escape room.
It's basically what it is. You know what I mean? That's the big thing. And there are all the themed escape rooms, and some of them are like a giant bioweapon has attacked the world, and you have to put together the antidote before you can take off your spacesuit and leave. And I'm like, too soon.
Yeah.
Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what. I don't know what our breaks are. We got to take a break.
Yeah, we do. Need to
yes,
take
we
a break.
do.
Yeah.